week-old Australian Labradoodle puppies. Just look at how much they've changed since our birth announcement video. These are our mini Labradoodle puppies, and these are from the Calligraphy litter at Van Isle Doodles. And today's video, we're going to give you an update on what each of the puppies has been up to this past week, whether they've hit that milestone of doubling their birth weight, and we're going to give you an update on Mama Anise, and we're also going to give you a little update on her milk bar, since when the puppies were first born, that was quite a challenge for all of us. Hi, I'm Claire from Van Isle Labradoodles, and I'm so glad you're here. It's so gratifying when we come up with a plan, we work hard as a team, and we end up with such a gratifying result as we did with Anise. If you'll remember back to our birth announcement video, Anise has very flat nipples. They are essentially flush with the mammary glands. So when you're a little just born puppy, you really cannot get latched on properly. And if you can't latch on properly, you're not getting any nourishment. And if you're not latching on, it also means the milk is building up, and it can cause a potential problem for mastitis with mom. Plus, it's darn uncomfortable to have a whole milk bar full of milk and nothing coming out of it. So we got the plan all worked out, where we were in here multiple times throughout the day, getting the puppies latched on, helping them, holding them, pinching the nipples out for them, and we had success. It actually only took the puppies a few days before we had the nipples popped out enough that they were able to get on their own. And we had a little help from our friends. We have another litter, and that is our Shadow Pebbles litter with Raven. Raven and Anise are sisters. And so we took one of the puppies from Raven's litter, introduced the puppy to Anise. Anise was all over the puppy, kissing and loving him right away. And then we gave him a turn at the milk bar. We got him on the most difficult nipples, and because he is 3 weeks older, he's got lots of suction. He has strong suction. He can stand on his own. Nothing deters him when it comes to getting a meal. And so he was able to nurse really vigorously, and that helped draw the nipples out. Yay! So many thanks to Green Collar Boy from our Shadow Pebbles litter for helping us to get this milk bar into better production. Now, as you can see, the puppies are strong. They are just in there gorging themselves. They don't have any problems finding the nipples on their own. You'll see Pink Collar's hunting around right now, and there she goes. She's found just exactly what she's looking for. Now the puppy's eyes are still sealed shut, and their ears are still sealed shut. So how do they find where they need to be? Well, they find where they need to be because they have heat sensors in their noses. That is the only sense they have that's working right now. So they use those heat sensors to be able to identify that, oh, over here is the source of warmth, and that guides them to where they need to go. And then in terms of actually finding the nipple to attach to, that's done by feel around with their lips and also by scenting with their nose, because they can smell the milk. And so when we were first trying to get them to find their way around, we were expressing the milk by hand and making sure that there was lots of milk there for them to get the scent of. So anyways, it all worked. Yay, everybody's doing fabulously. Their weight gains have been terrific. The milk bar is still very plentiful. So we have not been giving Anise quite as much food as we do to most of our lactating mums. Anise had a few extra pounds on when she arrived, so she was well able to manage having not quite as much food and still have a plentiful and rich source of milk. And now what she's doing right now is she's reaching around to a puppy. She's attending to that puppy by stimulating the puppy to both defecate and urinate. And you're going to land on top of one of them here, Missy. Let me help you there. Yes. And Anise uses her nose to sense when her puppies need to go. And when they need to go, she just stimulates them with her tongue and she consumes everything. And so that sounds kind of gross. I'm glad that people don't do that, but it is natural for dogs. And the reason for that is to make sure that there's no scent of the puppies being born for potential predators. So that's the rationale behind that. Now, if you are one of the lucky people on this litter list, it's time to start thinking about getting ready for welcoming your new puppy, because I know it seems like it's going to be forever until they go home, but the time is going to fly by, and before you know it, you're going to be here with a puppy in your arms. So we want to make sure that you're all set up and prepared to welcome your new puppy so that everything goes seamlessly and that you have all the time to enjoy your puppy and bond with your puppy rather than worrying about getting organized. So the first thing you're going to want to do is take a look around your house. Identify areas where it could possibly be problematic, dangerous for your puppy to be. So I like to quilt. And of course, with quilting goes lots of needles, pins, and really sharp rotary cutters. Not a safe place for a puppy. There's also lots of electrical cords from my sewing machines, my iron, and all sorts of other things. And electrical cords are always really favorite items for puppies to chew on. So I make sure that my puppies are not able to get into where my quilting area is. And I do that by blocking it off with an X pen. It's really simple. The X pen can be configured into any shape, and that way I can just spread it out and I can block it off entirely, but the puppy can be right where I am. We can all be together as a family. We can be watching TV. I can be sewing. The TV can be on. The other dogs are there, Reynolds there, and nobody feels like they're missing out on anything. So run through your house and take some notes and go and say, okay, you know, I think this is a possible hazard area for our puppy. Now, if you work from home and your puppy's going to be working from home with you, you're going to have lots of cords for your computer, your printer, and so forth. And in that situation, you're going to want to take your X pen and have it as an actual pen set up for your puppy to play in. Your puppy will go in there with their donut bed, and they'll go in there with some toys, and they'll be able to entertain themselves while you're working. And then you'll want to also establish what door are you going to use for your puppy to go in and out of to go to the bathroom. So first of all, obviously you're going to have to figure out, well, where should they go to the bathroom? Pick the spot where you want them to go. If you have a large backyard and you're content with opening the door and letting them choose their own spot, great. If you have a smaller backyard, or even if you have a bigger one and you want them to go in a specific area, I would suggest you find an area that's at least twice as big as this whelping box. And then what you will want to do is perhaps to put up some fencing around that area, or just take your puppy out on their leash and make sure you're hanging on to them, and you're going to want to carry them to that spot to go every time you want them to go, so they learn that that's their spot. And so make sure that it's not too far for you to carry your puppy, that you're okay with walking out there if it's raining, and if you have children and this is part of your children's job, that they can negotiate all of those criteria to get your puppy out there. So you want to, after you've decided where your puppy's going to go, then what door is the easiest for your puppy to use to get to that spot. You want to make sure that that door is easy for kids to open and close if your kids are taking the puppy out, and also that you have a spot where you can have the leash, the harness, your boots if you need them, a rain hat or jacket, whatever you need, right close by that door. And then you've got that problem all set up. That's probably the biggest thing you're going to want to sort out. When your puppy comes home to you, they're already going to know that outside is the place to go to the bathroom. They're just going to need you to remember to let them out at least once every hour in order to go to the bathroom. Once every hour that they're awake. You don't wake them up to go to the bathroom. Then you're going to want to move on from there and make some decisions. Are they going to be allowed on the furniture, or are you going to sit down on the floor with them? If you don't want your puppy on your furniture, you have to make sure that you and all of your guests, anyone interacting with the puppy, is seated on the floor, because you can't be seated up on the furniture and expect your puppy to understand that they can't come up there to interact with you. When they're little, they need to be with you and able to interact with you all of the time, unless they're sleeping. So make that decision, and always err on the side of being too strict, because it's always easy to be more lenient rather than trying to go the other way, which is totally going to fail and be too confusing for the puppy. If you've got kids, now is the time to start to teach them to keep their bedroom doors closed, because no matter how great your kids are and how much they promise that, oh yeah, I won't leave my iPad on the floor, or I won't leave my shoes or my new baseball mitt on the floor, you know they will. And you know that the puppy is going to go straight for whatever's the most expensive and the most valued by your child. So easiest is to get them to close the door. That way you don't run into any issues. Same for you. You need to start remembering that when you have your cell phone, you don't put it on your coffee table, because that is very easy for your puppy to reach and to get. And when they're young and this falls on them, it's heavy. If it hits them on the head, that can be trouble. So you want to start remembering your cell phone goes up somewhere high, as does your remote and your glasses. They love to eat your glasses too. Anything that's expensive. If you happen to have somebody who's older, who lives with you, and they have hearing aids, be aware that puppies will get into your ears and they'll try to remove those very expensive hearing aids and chew them up. So be mindful of that as well. Lots of things to keep in mind. So that's all the serious stuff. But you want to have fun getting prepared for your puppy. So what's more fun than figuring out a name for your puppy? You can do this as a group if you have a family. If you're single, start asking your friends, your co-workers, say, hey, I'm getting a puppy. Show off some of the pictures and say, this is my puppy. You'll find tons of pictures of your puppies on Facebook, both on our public facing page and in our private community group. So you can share the pictures with your friends and your family and say, yeah, you know, one of these is going to be mine. And so I'm thinking I'm going to name my puppy Frederica. What do you think? See what everybody thinks. Get their reactions. What you want to keep in mind is a name that's really easy to say and spell, especially if you have young children. You want it to be a name that's easy for them to pronounce. A name that's 2 syllables is always great, because it helps you come up with nicknames and have a name that you might use more commonly for your puppy, and then you use their more formal name if you are wanting them to really pay attention to you. So we'll use Anise as an example. Okay, so Anise is not a common name. It is not easy to spell, but most people can pronounce it. The spelling often gets mixed up. And Anise's nickname is Annie. So it's easy to say, hey Annie, let's go out. But if you want her to pay attention, it's Anise over here. And she'll know when you're serious. A name that's not common is really helpful. So if you're at the beach on Vancouver Island, and it's the time of year when our dogs are allowed to go without a leash at the beach, and they're running around, and you want to go and you're like, oh, hey, Bailey, Finn, Lucy, Gracie, those are all super popular names. If you call that, you're likely to get 10 or 12 dogs running to you. It's also harder for your dog to distinguish that you are speaking to them and that is their name, because it needs to be unique. So Anise knows her name because Anise is unique. Rowan is looking at us while we're making this video. Rowan is also a fairly unique name. And Rowan's nickname is Row Row. And we also say, hey, row, row, row your boat. Nicknames are not always shortened, they're often longer. Then we also have Ripple, we have Spirit, we have Peanut, we have Sahani, we have Kinsey, and we have Raven. Those are the dogs that we have with us right now. all fairly easy to say names and spell. Kinsey not so much, but all of them also quite unique. So when we call our dogs, we don't get a whole group of dogs coming in response. So those are some things to keep in mind when you're choosing a name. Pick a name that means something to you, something that has some meaning, or something perhaps related to Australia, since you are getting an Australian Labradoodle. And just to remind everybody, you do not have an Aussie Doodle. An Aussie Doodle is an entirely different type of dog. That's an Australian Shepherd crossed with a Poodle. They do not have a breed standard, they do not have a registry, they do not have verifiable pedigrees, and their personalities are completely different. You have an Australian Labradoodle. It's important to remember that for vets, trainers, and particularly for your insurance, because an Australian Labradoodle enjoys really good health, and so your premiums are lower than they would be for a Labradoodle, a Golden Doodle, or an Aussie Doodle. Now, one thing I want to point out before we talk about the puppies is if you take a look at Blue Collar's foot here, do you see anything interesting about this foot? Well, Blue Collar has something courtesy of his Papa Samurai, and that's an extra toe. And that means nothing in terms of any sort of defect or potential problem. It doesn't mean he's going to be able to run faster. It's just a cool little feature that he has. And Papa Samurai also has that, and so clearly we can see he has passed it on to at least Blue Collar. I'm not sure if anybody else has that feature. I just happened to notice it while Blue had his foot out there right now. On this puppy here, burgundy collar, nope, that's just regular red collar, nope, just the regular amount of toes. Oh, here we have an extra one over here as well, and that is, I think, pink collar, if I'm right. I gotta get the collar there. Pretty sure that's pink. I don't like to disturb them when they're, oh no, it's black. No wonder I can't see the collar. We have black collar on a black dog. So, fun little fact about some of the puppies in this litter is their extra toes. Now we're going to go through the puppies, and the first milestone is whether your puppy has doubled their birth weight in the first week. Now, why is this important? It's not critical that they do it in the first week. Anytime in the first 10 days is amazing. If it's done before the first 7 days, it's incredible. If they do it within the first 7 days, that's fantastic. If they do it within the first 10 days, terrific. If it's more than 10 days, depending on how far behind they are, then we start to take a look and wonder, what's going on? Why is this not happening? You'll see all of these puppies have beautiful, round, plump, juicy tummies. They are, all of them, very robust. And we are filming this video a day early. We are away on the day we would normally film it when they are actually a week old. So some of the puppies are going to be just under that 100%, but by tomorrow on their actual 1 week birthday, they will be at that 100% weight. So let us go through them all, and as always we're going to do it in birth order. Some of them are going to be a little annoyed because they're getting taken off the milk bar, but we'll put them back. So our first puppy is a girl, and it's Pink Collar Girl, and she is this gorgeous gleaming ebony with her little beautiful white markings on her chest. And just take a look at how plump that tummy is. There's no skinniness in this little girl. Oh no, she is a nice juicy puppy. She's got good sized feet too. And this little beauty queen is 499 grams today. So that puts her at 85% gain. She'll have no problem whatsoever making up that 15% to get up to 100% by tomorrow. I love this little girl. She's got such a beautiful little head. And of course, as everybody knows, ebony is my personal favorite in terms of a color for a dog. So that's Miss Pinky. I'll let Anise clean her up there. Then we have Red Collar Girl. Red Collar is here and she is nursing, but I'm going to take her off so you can have a look at her. Red Collar is our beautiful ebony party girl, and she's got just gorgeous markings down her back there. Really beautiful, strong amount of black. I love how she's got her black on top and her white underneath. She's just a striking girl. And when then this little girl grows up, having the white openness on her head and the 2 black ears and the black on her head, she's just going to be stunning. And then of course one of my favorite qualities is one of the ears is partially black and partially white. And look at how well her nose is filling in already. Those pink noses and pink toes are adorable, but the color soon comes in. Sorry, Anise, you want her back? Miss Red is 400 grams. And that puts her at 86% of her birth weight. And so that means as well, she's easily going to accomplish that 100% marker by tomorrow. Then we've got Green Collar Girl. And Green Collar, whoopsie, that's not, where is my green? Here you are. Green Collar Girl is 386 grams, and she is our stunning ebony phantom. So phantom is the same pattern as Mama Anise has, and that's where we have either a black or a chocolate base coat, and then we have these gorgeous either copper or cream, like Anise has, markings on the legs, all of the legs, the side of the head, and in the vent, which is under the tail. And this little puppy also has a lot of white on her. Look at all that white on the chest and the white little toes. Oh my goodness, you're just going to be gorgeous when you grow up. Yes, you are. You already are. And at 386 grams, she's at 81% of her birth weight. So I would say that we're probably going to be very close to that 100 mark. She might not get exactly to it. She might be 98 or 99, but close enough to call it a win. Then we have our Burgundy Collar. And Burgundy Collar is, nope, that's green, that's red. Uh-oh, where's the puppy hiding underneath the niece? You're hiding your puppy. There we go. Oh my goodness, this little girl is hiding right underneath you. Miss Burgundy is 353 grams, and she is at 104% of her birth weight. So she's had no problem hitting that mark. Now she's also an ebony party, and she has a slightly different way of her party markings. Good amount of solid ebony there on her tail, and then her head has ebony except for this gorgeous little white piece here. Lots of white around her nose, and that's going to be just pretty as can be, and then white on the main part of her body. Now sometimes people think if you have a white dog, it's very hard to keep them clean. Actually, that's not true at all. With ALDs, when they get dirty, you just have to wait for about 20 minutes and it just falls right off of them. That's thanks to the fact that they have a single coat. The same reason why they don't shed. So that's Burgundy, the first one to crack the 100% mark, and she did that a day ahead of schedule. Then we've got our Blue Collar Boy, and he is here, right? Or no, that's not you. Where's Blue? Where's Blue? Here's Blue. Blue is also a party and nursing. There we go, sweetheart. And Blue is like his sister. He's got lots and lots of markings down his back here, over there, and then instead of having a white face like his other sister there, he's got the symmetrical markings, or she has rather, or he has, sorry. He has the symmetrical markings of the ebony on both sides, nice chunky solid ebony ears, and then he's got the beautiful big white smoosh up his back there. Handsome dude, and you can see his nose is also filling in really well. And Mr. Blue is 407 grams, which puts him at 99% of his birth weight. So clearly he'll be at that 100% by the week 1 mark without any problem at all. And last but not least is Black Collar. I'm just going to take black. Oops, sorry, that's pink. I get pink and black mixed up all the time, except for one's a boy and one's a girl. I'm going to just put black here, and then I'll let Blue come back here because he was still nursing. Make sure he can find his way there to get some more milk. And then little Black Collar Boy This is our little fellow. He is also a phantom, but he's what we call a weak phantom. Now that doesn't mean that he's weak. Obviously, he's not at all. He's a strong, healthy puppy with a nice big tummy. It just means that his phantom markings are not as strong as they are on green collar here. So you can see on green collar, you can really see them here on his hind leg and under his tail, whereas with this puppy you don't see them as much on the hind leg, but you do on the tail when I lift the tail up. So Mr. Black, our handsome black phantom boy, is 498 grams. He is the biggest puppy in the litter, and he is at 105% of his birth weight. So that's all of our puppies. That's our update for week 1. We hope you enjoyed watching them all. If you have a moment, we really appreciate it if you take the time to leave us a comment here on YouTube. It really helps us out with the algorithm. And we also enjoy talking to you. Next week, we're going to be looking for the milestone of have any of the puppies open their eyes. It's always great when they open their eyes. It's like you begin to get to know them, and people relate more to eyes than anything else. And so we feel a little bit more like we are getting to see the soul of our puppies. Thanks so much for watching, and we look forward to see you again next week, and we hope you enjoyed today's video.